Hi everybody, so today, believe it or not, is another Dior collection release video. So I've picked up all 4 shades of these new eyeshadow quints, the Dior Show 5 colour quints, and these are limited edition, and so far, having tested them, the formulas in these look pretty impressive. So definitely keep watching if you're interested in these because it's really worth seeing these. I also picked up 3 of the liquid liners, which there's quite a good range of those. I picked up 3 different colours. And I've also picked up this new mascara. This is the Over Volume mascara. So I tried this out yesterday, so I can give you a wear test on this. And I also will try it on for you again today to give you my more full thoughts. So I will basically show you a look with every single one of these palettes. I've got some swatch comparisons and quite a few thoughts, so I can't wait to get started. If you know me, you know I love a Dior review. I absolutely do. I can't wait for them to arrive. So I really hope you enjoy this video. And if you're new here, hi, my name's Hannah. I'm 48. I'm not a professional. I'm just somebody who really loves makeup and beauty. And here on my channel, I show you the latest releases, my favourite looks, and give you any beauty news you might be interested in. If you think you'd enjoy this, please do hit the subscribe button. It's so very helpful and lots of people are watching without subscribing, so if you could, that would really help me ever so much. And if you're already subscribed, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. And if you want to know about matching these colours with my skin tone, I've got fair to light skin with predominantly cool undertones that lean a little bit neutral, and I've got blue eyes. Anyway, that's enough about me. Let's get straight into this video. So I received these eyeshadow palettes yesterday and I filmed yesterday with them, so I'm going to split this video into 2. So I'm going to play that section of the video for you straight away with the first 2, and then we can dive straight into the next 2. So here is that, I would say clip, but it's actually half an hour, so buckle up. This is a long one, lots of swatches, lots of trying on, lots of thoughts, but here are the first 2 for you. So this is me from the day before, looking at the first 2 eyeshadow palettes. I'll do some swatch comparisons, show you my swatch video, and try on a look with both. So maybe I'll start with this one. So this one is the number 557 Brown Cashmere. So here is my swatch video. So I put a post up yesterday on my YouTube channel asking for swatch requests, and if any more come in tonight or tomorrow morning when I start filming the next 2, I will add them in at some point in this video. But from the ones I've looked at so far, there's quite a few I don't have, but some I do. So I do have quite a big collection, but I don't have all of these. I do tend to not buy these neutrals, in all honesty. So when a big collection launches, because I've got so many neutrals, I do often skip them, which means I don't end up with an awful lot of them. So maybe that's my mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I do have some comparisons here. So one of them, which I think looked a bit similar, is this one, the Beige Couture 523. So I think this was from last year. So if you look at these 2 together, they are quite similar, aren't they? Including the embossing, except this one has that sort of tweed finish. Remember, like the Chanel tweed? If you can see it close up there. Whereas this new one has more of a silky finish, so I think they are very different formulas. They feel more like all satin and very creamy in this new one, and I have to say I prefer them. So if I just do a swatch on my hand of the new one, the difference between these 2 is night and day. So here, this is the new one, and look at that one. Look how badly that's swatched. I mean, fair enough, it's probably gone out of date by now because Dior products don't last that well, but there's no pigment in it, very powdery, none of this silky shine, because we are getting satins here and sort of shimmer, this shimmer topper, which I think is amazing. And we are getting a lot more pigment. So the new one is swatching so much better. I've done very soft swatches there, but I want to be quite realistic in the swatches so you can see how they look on first swatch. So if you have this one, I'm guessing it's gone off, or you just think it's rubbish if you try this one. I wouldn't say if you've got this don't get this. I would say this is a massive upgrade on this. This one is useless. So I think one of the main requests I've had to compare with this is the YSL 100, which is the Stora Dolls. So here they are side by side. Not really very similar, are they? But I will do a swatch comparison. We can at least look at the formulas and the pigment. It is slightly creamier straight away and more buttery soft, the YSL. But I've got to say, I much prefer the Dior. Here is the YSL Stora Dolls, and here is the new Dior. I think that these formulas, these sort of satin shimmery formulas, are just beautiful, and they actually are more impressive to me than the YSL formula. Matte wise, you could argue the dark brown is very similar, and obviously we've got this and there's an additional shade here. So I don't think you've got it if you just exclude that top shade there. I don't think you've got it if you've got Stora Dolls, based on the difference in shades and the slightly more impressive formula that we're getting here with Dior. These formulas look really good, you know. I'm really excited to try them. And now for some single shadows to swatch. So this one is the ever so popular Beige Mitza. Now this is a metallic, and we all know that this is a gorgeous colour, gorgeous formula. So there is Beige Mitza. I don't think these quite live up to the beautiful formula we get with Beige Mitza, but they are quite similar, you know. It's just this is a deeper shade, but it's not quite as, they're not metallics, these. So that is why, really. Then I've got the Brun Tulpa, which is a satin finish from Chanel. So some of the shades in the new Dior palette are satin, so we might see a similarity here. So there is Brun Tulpa. Again, not matching any of the shades, but definitely matching up with the formula. And if you see there, if you compare the Brun Tulpa satin with the ones in the new Dior, they are definitely as nice. These formulas are good. I've also got Quartz Fume, which is a satin from Chanel. So there is that shade. Again, not matching any of these, but matching up with these formulas, I think. This one, I say matching up with this, it's matching up with these two. This one is maybe that there's one described as being a pearly formula. I don't know if this one is the pearly. And then the last one I chose to look at is Beige Sable, which is a satin from Chanel. There is Beige Sable. So we have those three satins and one metallic. The Beige Mitza is Dior, and these three are all Chanel. But I think this really does show just how wonderful these new formulas. I say new, it's a new quint. I don't know if they've changed the formulas, but they feel a lot more impressive to me, certainly than the summer release and the spring release that we've had so far from Dior. I think these are looking like the best formulas I've seen from them this year, to be honest, and one of the best ever, maybe, because I'm not sure I've seen them looking that impressive from Dior, which is really exciting. So I'll wipe that off my hand and do a few comparisons with the other one I'll be trying on in this clip. So I am going to compare the new Tom Ford, but not to the one I've just shown you. I don't think they really match up in shade. I think it's probably more of a match for the second one I'll be showing you here, which is this one, number 671, the Coral Couture. So just to see really with the gold shimmery shades if there's a match in formula or in impressive finish. So let me first of all play you my swatch video of this palette. So with the Tom Ford, I'm just going to look at the two shimmery finishes, which if you follow me, you know I am so impressed with these finishes from Tom Ford and don't really think that there's much that compares. They're definitely smoother. So this is Tom Ford, but it's not a bad match, is it? If you look at this one and this one. So this one's the new Dior and this is the Tom Ford. Tom Ford, by the way, if I didn't mention it, is the Bronze Isle, the one that's just released from the Soleil range. These are the two lighter finishes in the Dior. So you only see them when I turn my hand really because they are quite light. But this gold shifty one is lovely. I don't think they beat Tom Ford though. I'm not going to say they do, I don't think they do, but then nothing ever does in my opinion. So I'm going to look first at the spring release from Dior. So this one was Peach Mania. So here comparing it to Coral Couture, not really any crossovers in formula or colour. Sorry, there's no crossovers in colour apart from maybe the central shade in that. So I think I'll just, for the comparison as in formula, I'll just swatch this one here in the middle. There is that finish there. So I think the only thing that's telling me is it's the same formula, but again it's a lot warmer. So the spring one, even though it shouldn't be warmer, should it? I don't know if I've got something on my hand. No, I've done it again, it's definitely a little bit warmer. But that's the only shade I think that's even remotely similar, so there's just no point me swatching anymore. But I just wanted to show you that in case you're thinking there's similarities with that spring release. So I've also got Popeline Peach, which doesn't read very peachy to me, to be honest. This one is quite different, I think, to this. Again, I don't think there's a single shade that's similar, so I don't see the point of doing a direct swatch. Just wanted to show you that they're just not alike at all. And then I've got Coral Flame. So there are there's a few similarities, not much, but mostly that central coral and maybe the bottom gold here. So these are the two I will swatch. So there we go. So Coral Flame, not really a similarity with this either. But the formulas in Coral Flame, the shimmery formulas, do seem to be quite similar to these very shimmery satins or pearly satins. I'm never entirely sure which one's which with these because they all seem quite similar, to be honest. Then we have the one that's just launched for the summer. I know a lot of people are curious about this one, the Coral Riviera against the new Coral Couture. I say new, this one was literally launched about 10 days ago or something. Very, very quick launches coming out from Dior. So I think what I'll do is I'll just swatch the entire quint this time. Now, if you watch my review of these releases, I wasn't that impressed with them. So I'll be very interested to see now, side by side, if I think this one's better. So what I can say straight away is that the summer one, the Coral Riviera, is much more of a dry, powdery finish. This one is that creamy finish that you get from Dior, which I think is so much nicer. So I much prefer the formula of these. But looking at them side by side, here is the summer one. It does seem a little bit bizarre that they've launched these together in such a short space of time, because look how similar they are. So you definitely do not need both. I would say probably that the coral is a little bit nicer in the summer release. So there is the Coral Riviera coral, and here is the one that we're trying today. So I think that is a bit nicer, but again I still think that these finishes, these three from the newest one, are better than the shimmers from this one. They're just creamier and more buttery, and I think they're going to look better on the eyes than the summer release. So if you haven't bought either and you're looking for a coral, haven't tried it on obviously, and I would like to film probably a video of the two of them side by side, so I might do that at some point. So look out for a shorts reel of me trying one either side so you can see exactly how they look if I apply similar shades. And but from swatching and from looking at them on my hand, I think this is the better of the two, this one. So don't be sucked in by the gold spray, which you can see has disappeared. If anything, this one looks more beautiful because we've got the embossing, which is going to last a lot more longer. It's quite a deep embossing, so it's going to stay pretty for longer. It won't just vanish, and I think they're much nicer formulas. I've also got the Backstage 9 pan here. This is the Warm Essentials 003. So we can look at these side by side to see if you possibly already have this, and there are definitely some crossovers. So I'm going to pick out the shades I think match it the most, and we can see how they look next to each other. So here is the Backstage. It doesn't have this sort of really lovely gold one that we've got here with this beautiful formula, and it doesn't have a finish that's quite as beautiful as this one, and probably not as beautiful as these two either, but they are very, very similar. So you can definitely create a superbly similar look when you look at these two side by side. So I wouldn't personally buy the new one if you've already got this. And if you were thinking of getting a coral and maybe waiting and looking at all of the different options, my top option at the moment without trying it on would probably be this one, but then you're getting more looks with this one, and this one is a lovely option, by the way. But this one would be definitely in third if we're talking about which of the three I would choose. But anyway, that is a very close match. It's just in this new quint, it's this one here is such a lovely finish. And then the last two things I've got are two singles. So we've got this one here, which is Amber Star. This is a glitter finish, so we're not going to see this finish in the quint. I love this one. What should I compare? I don't think I can compare it to any of them really. It is quite an impressive one. So here it is. So I'm comparing it to the matte coral shade. Similar shade actually, but obviously it's a glitter finish. And that is by Dior. And then I've got this one from Chanel. This is the Pêche Glacée. Oh God, I'm so bad at pronouncing French, sorry. Oh, that's such a nice shade. So there is that one. I don't think that there's anything in this new quint that beats either of these two, in all honesty. But I still think that the new shimmery, whether it's the pearly satin, I don't know if it's satin and pearl separately, but the pearly finish, I think, or the particularly shiny satin, I think they're very similar, but not quite as beautiful as those. But then you are paying quite a lot of money for these because they are such high quality one and done shadows, so I would expect them to beat them, in all fairness. Anyway, let's try on a look with each of these new quints. So using my new Victoria Beckham number 20 blender brush, I'm going to do a look with this one. So which one should I start with? I'll start with this one, I think. The only matte I think in this one is this deep brown. Everything else seems to have quite a shifty shimmer. Usually with Dior, even if they are slightly shimmery, they tend to work well because they're not overly glittery and overly shimmery. So they're usually quite good on mature eyes, even with that little bit of shimmer, and that is the immediate. Yeah, oh gosh, that's lovely. Again, I think we're looking at a lot of one and dones in these, like with the summer. I'm going to be a bit more careful not to use too many shades today, even if it means you don't get to see them in full, because I do think in my last review when I did that, it just didn't show them off very well because they just don't work very well when you use every single shade all over the eye. They just sort of blur into one colour. Oh, that is really, really pretty. Look at that. That is gorgeous. It is pretty shiny, but I absolutely love that. That's beautiful, and just see how quick that was to blend. Wow, lovely. With my Rephr number 3, I'm going to take that same shade underneath the brow. Oh, here we go. Words are scrambled again. I am filming this in the afternoon after my coffees. I tend to be a little bit more delirious after caffeine, so even though it's supposed to wake me up. Oh, I love that. Wow. Good start, Dior. Good start. I think I'll take now my Wayne Goss number 6 brush and take some of this brown. So this one's the matte. And I'm going to see if I can just run a little bit of this underneath. There's a sort of soft line. And then do the same here. But I'm going to start bringing it up and developing a little bit of it here in the outer V, but not too much. So when it's on the tip of the brush, that's when I'm getting a bit more depth from the shade, is the idea. And then when I use the side of the brush, a bit less. So just a slight bit of depth with this. And using it in 2 ways with one brush. It seems to be working very nicely. These work together beautifully. See how easy that was? Wow. This is giving me Tom Ford vibes at the moment for beautiful finishes and for ease of use. If you want to produce a sort of smoky eye that looks really good in seconds, Dior, you are making it up to me for that summer release that I was just not a fan of, so far anyway. I love that. I really love that. I love that mixture as well of the two. Maybe I will end up using all of them because they just do work together. I don't know actually. I really like that. I think that's off to such a good start. So now I think I will take the shade I love the most, which is this one here. And now I'm going to put this one on the lid with my finger. So this is now introducing a bit of warmth. We had quite a sort of cool tone look until I introduced this. So you could just skip that if you want to keep it for a cool look one day. Look at the finish on that one though. That's really, really, really pretty. I really like that. Have you noticed? I'm enjoying this quint. And then I'm going to take the lightest here on my little finger and I'm going to pop this over the rest of the lid. See, that's quite a wow shade. So this is me saying I'm not going to mix them all together, but I really think that with this one it actually works to do that. I would do this by choice, not just for review. I like doing this, but I also think that everything apart from the matte brown that I've used would work as a one and done. So you could use the matte brown to line and add a bit of depth and use any of these other shades that I've tried so far anyway. I haven't tried that central one. That might be a bit too light for a one and done, but everything else, you've got a gorgeous and super easy one and done that brings quite a bit of glamour. Oh, I love it. Isn't that beautiful? So just taking my fluffy brush to take this above a bit so that it's sitting above my hooded lid a bit, the sparkle, sort of mixing them all together above. Maybe just take a little bit more of the matte on the side of the Wayne Goss to bring back a little bit more depth there. I love it. I really, really, really love it. So now let's try the lightest one here in the middle with my 207 from BK Beauty. Oh, and isn't that the most perfect inner corner pop of brightness? So if I didn't use this gold here, I could have used this to cover this third, and that would possibly make this sort of, is it really a sort of coppery bronze? More a bronze, I'd say, a bronzy gold. But anyway, it would make that pop more if you use this one I'm using here to cover this area, which is one of the ways I love to wear light shades like this, but perfect just for that inner pop too. And definitely going to be good for under the brow, this one. I didn't put any brightening liner in my waterline today, so I'm just going to quickly pop that in. This is the one from Delilah, which since they sent it to me, I've used it every single day since. So if you want the details on this, ask me. Look at it. Look at the difference between that eye and the waterline. It is so good. I prefer this to the Victoria Beckham one now. So yeah, if you want details on that, let me know. That look, I love it. I don't want to add any sort of liner. I love the depth I've got just by having that soft bit of lining. But obviously you could go in with something like the number 23 brush from Rapha and go into this here and then get a bit more depth. In fact, I'll just quickly show you because I used the Wayne Goss number 6. But if I used a brush like this, I could get a bit more pigment there. See, straight away it's just a little bit more pigment. I do quite like the way it looks soft with the Wayne Goss brush. I didn't particularly feel it needed it. At the same time, it's good to show you how it can work and have that sort of versatility. So it's not going to give you an awful lot of depth, but it gives you enough not to need to reach for a liner for sure. I love that. I absolutely love it. That is a 10 out of 10 quite easily, and it's made me so happy because I didn't enjoy the Dior summer release. The spring release was lovely. The summer release was this one. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Love. So far. We've got 3 more to try. So let's now go to the coral and see if this one impresses me, because I was quite disappointed with the summer coral. So let's see how this one will do. So with this, these two both seem to be mattes, and this one has that more sort of pearly finish. I think these two must be the satins, I'm guessing. I think what I'll actually do is start with the coral, because it's not a very strong coral, and I think this one might work as a sort of all over wash. So that's how I'm going to try it. So over the whole of the lid, and I'm going to take it up. So it's my transition and a sort of base shade. And this will give you an idea if this might work as a very, very simple one and done coral look, I suppose. Now there's no sparkle in this with it being a matte, so it's just going to give me, straight away though, I think it's given me more than the summer one did, because it's just a more nice is a terrible way to describe it. It's a creamy powder. It's not so dry as the summer ones, which I didn't think were as dry as they are until I compared the two, in all honesty. But when I see the way this applies, well, it's such a pretty coral. That on its own would be really nice for a very simple look, wouldn't it? Definitely. And with some of this on the Wayne Goss 6, I'm just going to run this underneath the whole of the eye. Forgot to do my other waterline. So now this one doesn't have such a deep shade as the other one did, so I'm going to try this one for some sort of depth. But I'm putting it on the flat side of this brush, the Wayne Goss, and I'm taking it on the tip. So the bit on the tip hopefully will turn up here now when I do this. Definitely less pigment than we had this side. And now where I've got it on the side, I'm going to start bringing it here just to build up a little bit of depth. There's not a massive difference between these two in depth, so I don't think you're going to see a huge difference. It's just a sort of very light gradient between the two, but they work together very nicely, that's for sure. As in, the formulas work together nicely, but the colours work together nicely, don't they? That's really nice. Oh, I'm loving this already as well. I know some of you have said you didn't want to get the summer release, or you were going to, and then you saw it and changed your mind, or you swatched it, changed your mind, or you've bought it, haven't opened it, might send it back. I think you're going to much prefer these. Oh, that is so nice. Just that on its own for a really simple look would be so nice. Maybe just a brown liner, mascara, off we go. And I'm just taking the fluffy brush again with nothing on it, just to sort of soften out the edges a bit. Very little work involved with these powders. So now let's introduce this one here to the lid there. Look at that, these formulas are so good. They are really packing a punch, they really are, compared to the summer release. Oh, that is really nice. Such a lovely summer look, isn't it? Now when I did my poll, I think this one was the one you were all least interested in, maybe because we've had so many corals. But I think you need to think about this one, honestly. When it comes to a coral quint, this has got to be up there with one of the best I've tried. And little finger, I'm going to go in with this one. This is definitely the one with the most sparkle. Taking this into the inner corner and bringing it across to meet that gold. Very similar way to the way I did this eye. So I am again using all 5. But I'm doing it because I want to, not because I feel I have to. I was quite happy to drop one out for the look, but I think that they work together nicely this time without just blending into one colour. This shade here would make a really nice topper. When you see the sparkle in this, I think if you just put the coral all over the lid and just top with this, that could look really nice as well. Now I'm just going to take this so that it goes above my hooded eye a bit. So what I've done is I've just sort of dabbed into the 2 that I used. I'm sort of mixing them together just to get that sort of joint sparkle appearing above my hooded eye there. Oh, really nice. And now the BK Beauty for the inner corner again. Perfect shade for the inner corner. Not given quite as much as of a pop as this one did though, but still a very good one. I think this is a satin, but it's just nowhere near as sparkly as this one. So maybe that one was the pearl finish. But anyway, it still does its job very nicely, just different. Pops a bit more under the eye actually. I love them. I love them. The only thing I would say is I feel like I need a tiny bit more depth with this eye. So I could go in with a liner. I've got my Delilah Twig, which I use all the time here, a brown liner. So I might just pop a tiny bit of this under here. And a little bit close to the lash line. Nothing major, just a little bit. And also taking this underneath. So there is Coral Couture. And here is the brown cashmere. And I think they are both absolutely stunning. Really stunning. I'll just pop some mascara on and you can see how they look. So I've gone in with a mascara, and for the first time I was trying the mascara I'm reviewing in this video, but I'm not going to go into too much details because I don't like to judge a mascara too much by day one experience. I really ideally like to do it on day 3, but anyway, I'll be doing it for you for day 2 tomorrow. First impressions, I don't think this is going to be a mascara for me, but anyway, maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow. But the final look of these quints absolutely are for me. I can't tell you how much happier I am compared with the summer launch. These are stunning, absolutely stunning, and they're limited edition, which really can mean limited edition. So if you like these colours and you like Dior, I think you're going to absolutely love these. Look at them. What do you think? Anyway, I will now take you back to me tomorrow trying the next 2 on. So after I tried on these 2 looks, I added the green liner just to try it out. I didn't want to do it in the video because I wasn't sure if it would work or not, but it was so easy to apply and I love it. So this is the dark green liner, the pearly emerald. So obviously on top of the brown, you don't see the pearls so much, but it works nicely with the brown. And I don't like liquid liners, but I have to say this was one of the easiest ones I've ever put on. And I've got it on the back of my hand, which I put on there ages ago, and they are not moving. So these lock down, they're not irritating my eyes. I put the lightest one, which is on the back of my hand now, into the waterline, but you can't really see it. But the key thing is it didn't irritate the waterline. I've got a very irritable waterline and it didn't irritate. I love it. I can't wait to play with these more now. So sorry I didn't show you this in the actual review trying it on, but trust me, it was incredibly easy, and I'll definitely try these with I'm thinking probably more a green look, but I do quite like mixing browns and greens, and I think that this works really nicely with the brown. What do you think? I'm playing around a little bit more. I've gone in with the Shimmer Mint actually on top to lighten it. The Shimmer Mint is so light, it's hard to see it, so I think you'd have to have virtually nothing on the eyes to really see it. But if you had something like a dark powder down as a liner, and then you put this over the top, that's when I think it would pop. And that's sort of what's happened now, because I've used that darker green liner and I've gone over it with the Shimmer Mint. It's changed. So that's the 2 mixed together. These are fun, I'm enjoying them. So you can see there that I added in just a tiny clip. I know it's not the most helpful, but at least it gives you some idea of these eyeliners. So I'm not going to use these because, well, I might try the pink one if I think I can get it to work today on top of the darker powder, if I use a dark powder to line. I'm not sure. But one thing, yesterday when I put this on my hand, it's still a bit there, if you want to know just how much these really do last. So I've had a bath and washed my hands multiple times and it's still there. So these really don't come off. And I'll just do a swatch again. I don't think I did the swatch on camera, I can't remember, but I want you to see them. I'm going to have a very stained hand doing this, but anyway. I want you to see them properly. I'm hoping if I use a makeup remover I can get it straight off, because I'm definitely not using the greens today. But I wanted you to see them swatched better. That is Shimmer Mint and Pearly Emerald. And the other one I picked up was this pink, which is so light, I don't know if I can get it to show up, to be honest with you. It's called Shimmer Rose, this one. These are £35 by the way, and you get 0.55 millilitres of product inside. There are a number of shades you can get. I'll pop a picture up now of the shade range. There is the pink. See what I mean about how light it is? I think the only way to get this one to pop is going to be on top of a dark liner where it'll show up, or if you've got a much darker shadow on and then you use it as that pop. I tried to put it in the waterline but I couldn't really see it. And the information on this is it's waterproof, which we have well and truly established. It showcases your eyes thanks to intense colours in satin or pearly finishes or the shimmer. So I've got the pearly finish and the shimmer finish. I didn't get the satin. There are 9 shades and they are enriched with cornflower extract. So that's all the information on that, and you've got that little clip of me using the green. I'll try and introduce it in other videos if I can, and if I'm getting on well with it I will show you how I'm using it. I think, to be honest, it's going to be the 2 greens I use the most. I don't know why I got this pink, it's so pale, but anyway, we'll see if I can add it in somewhere. So let's now see if I can just get that off my hand for a start. I'll get my makeup remover. Just about got that off before it dried down, and I'm still struggling to get the little bit here off from yesterday. It really does need a lot. So a lot of scrubbing there, and it did come off. So I've saved the 2 rose silk taupe shades, so I think they're the most similar out of the 4, so we can see them side by side. So let's start with silk taupe, and here is my swatch video. And I'll just quickly show you this side by side with Pink Riviera, the one that launched with their summer collection, really to show you that there's no similarities. So I won't do an actual swatch comparison because there are just no shade similarities, but I just thought you'd like to see them next to each other. The only quad I thought of actually that might be similar to this is the Tom Ford. Is this the Rose Exposed, was it called? Yeah. So here are these 2 side by side, and then I'll do a direct swatch comparison. So there's the Tom Ford, and here is the Dior. Tom Ford shimmers do look a little bit more impressive, but not a lot. This one here I think stands up against the Tom Ford. Very impressed with these formulas from Dior, as you've seen from my first 2, and the trend seems to be continuing. But I don't think you need both. If you've got Rose Exposed, you've pretty much got this colour story, so I don't think you need it. And then looking at my single shadows, I got this one out, which is from Dior. This is the Rose Tulle Metallic. So I'm just going to compare this just with this one here, so we can see if there's a similarity. So here is the shade from the Taupe Quint, and this is the Rose Tulle. So obviously we're seeing the metallic finish, but I do think that formula wise these are standing up, you know, quite well to these fabulous single ones that we get, as in the quality of the formula. But obviously you can't compare a metallic with a satin because they are just different. But it is slightly similar, so if you're looking for that sort of one and done and you have Rose Tulle, then you maybe can reconsider this quint. So I just wanted to say, actually, if I haven't done any comparisons you've asked for, it's because it's not in my collection. But if there's any comparisons with quads I do have, or with larger palettes that you'd like me to do, please let me know and I will do my best to do that in a different video for you. But anyway, let's get started now straight away with a look with this. And I think I'll start with this lightest one here as a base shade. I'll be using the same brushes that I used with the first 2 looks. So this is the Victoria Beckham blender brush. And this one is a matte. These 2 are both mattes. And when I did my poll asking you which of the quints you most wanted to see, this is the one that came top. And I think one of the reasons might be that it looks like it's more of a cool tone. And I think that's something a lot of us have been waiting for, is cool tone palettes. So it does look pretty cool tone on the whole. But let's see when I add in other colours if it starts to look warm or not. And I will use all colours because they did seem to work with the first two. So this is a very light shade. So it's giving me a reasonable transition, but it's almost my skin colour, so you're not seeing it an awful lot. It'll be a good one for correcting though afterwards. I will run it underneath, not that you're going to see much of it. So as I did with my other look, I'm going to go into this deeper matte, take some on the tip of the Wayne Goss and onto the side, and with the tip run underneath like a very rough, soft sort of liner. And then with the side, start building up a little bit of depth here into the outer V and bringing it 1/3 of the way across. Look how quickly these work together, these mattes. They really are lovely and buttery soft. So much better than those summer ones. Now I think you could build this up quite a bit more, but for me that's definitely enough. In fact, I'm going to take this and go around the edges just to slightly lighten up the outer edge and soften it. So I think now I will take this one here and put this onto the first sort of third of the lid for now. This will make a lovely one and done shade. And we are definitely still in the cool sort of area. We haven't gone into the warm zone, so hopefully we're not going to with this one here. I do feel like if I add that, it's going to change the look quite considerably. In fact, what I will do is I won't use it until the end to show you, but I think that this look will be much nicer, in my opinion, actually without it. But anyway, let's see. For now, if I take this and maybe bring it across to about there, so I'm taking it actually halfway across the lid. So I don't think this is the pearl finish, it's not quite as shiny, it's the satin, very smooth, very soft, no fallout with these, super easy, and the more I build it with my finger, the more you see the sort of pop from it, but it's not like the first two I tried. It's definitely more of a subtle look, but it's still very, very pretty. The one I think that's going to give the pop is this one, which is why I'm skipping the gold one for now. And I'm going to just use this one on my little finger and bring it to meet it, which is the way I think I would choose to wear this palette. And I'd actually skip out that gold, but I will add some of it at the end so you can see if you think it might work. I like that, you know, but I'm not wowed by this one like I was with the first two. That is giving me a cool finish. Oh, that's a shame, you know. I was so wowed by the first two and I thought this was going to be the best one. It's nice. It's not, I don't dislike it, but I can immediately see myself not wanting to reach for this as much as those first two. I'll take the BK Beauty brush and pop some of this into the inner corner. Nice inner corner shade though, and under the brow. Now, what I could have done, which is what I will sort of do now, is take this gold, so it's half of this and this across the lid, using the two together. But looking at them, I think these two are one and done on their own. So use one or the other. And whether you use the other shades with them is entirely up to you, but you could probably go for this or this as a one and done and then just use this one as a sort of liner. This one will always just be a sort of fixer shade really for just going softening around the edges. This one I think was more likely to be your inner corner, or you could make it your all over pop. That's something, it could be used as a topper. But before I do anything, let me just put a bit of this gold so we can see how it looks if I put it here. So I'm going to basically take the gold over this section here so it becomes a deeper shade. But you can see how it mixes and whether it becomes warm. I don't think it does actually, it's still remaining fairly cool toned, isn't it? I'll take a little bit more of the rosy sort of shade here. This is described as a silk taupe, and I think a lot of people felt it's not really a taupe. And I agree. The only one that maybe might be is this one, but it's so light you don't really see it. I really don't know how to feel about this. Now obviously I feel like I've messed up the look by doing what I've done, but I wanted to show you the gold. I might put this one now over the whole thing to see what I said about maybe this is a topper. So we're really mixing them together now. Just trying to show you how you might transform the look. Yeah, that's a lovely, lovely topper, isn't it? I really like that. So it's become a completely different look again, but I do really like that. I think I will take the Rephr 23 now and use this one here as a liner shade. I know I've already done that, but with the Wayne Goss it was a lot of a, it was a much softer finish. And you can see I'm getting quite a bit of depth out of this shadow. Using the Rephr 23, that makes a huge difference. It's actually quite a good liner shade. I might take a bit more of that on the Wayne Goss as well and just build up a little tiny bit more of depth, because I've gone over this area with everything else and lost that depth a little bit. That is starting to become quite a pretty look actually. I definitely want to play with this one more, and I would definitely be mixing these two together, using this as a topper. I really like that. This one, I don't know, maybe this one, and you could still use this as a topper or not, or just use that as a one and done. So there are quite a few options with this, which is something I'm really enjoying with these quints. So that is the final look, using them all mixed together in many different ways. But the final look I'm quite happy with. What do you think? Now I did say I would see if this pink would work. I really don't want to do this, but anyway. Let's just see if I put this over the brown shadow here, will it pop? No is the answer to that. I really don't know how I make this turn up on my skin. I can show you, because I did this yesterday off camera. If I just say put it here where I've got white, it doesn't show up hardly at all. Can you see what I mean? Not that I want it there. You can just hardly see it. It just doesn't show up on my skin tone. I'll try and do it across here. No, it just doesn't show up. It doesn't show up on my bare skin, and it doesn't show up on the brown liner. So that's an absolute fail for me. So I'd be very interested if anyone picked this up, how you made this work. Did I tell you these are made in Korea, by the way? Lovely formulas, and the other two shades beautiful, but this pink, even with my fair skin, it doesn't show up in any way. But anyway, overall very happy with that look. So now let's move on to the very last one. So this one is number 857, Rose Organza. So here is my swatch video for this. And I'll show you it again up against the pink Riviera that launched with the summer collection, just so you can see side by side. And I will actually swatch. I'll swatch them because I do see some similarities here. So here we have the new one, and here we have the summer one. So you can see they are very, very similar. But again, the standout for me are these two shimmers here. This one is like a topper. This one's particularly special. This one is this shade here. This one is really, really pretty. And the summer quint just doesn't have that, the pink Riviera. So very, very similar. I definitely wouldn't get both. But if you're thinking of buying one or the other, I would definitely be going for this one that I'm showing you today, going by these swatches. So for this look, I will go in with the blender brush from Victoria Beckham into this central one and take this one all over the lid, and I'll bring this up and basically do an entire base. So this is going into the crease and up to the outer V and all across, so it's sort of like a one and done. Not massively pigmented, pretty pink though. I'm taking some on the Wayne Goss, running it underneath, and then with the Wayne Goss brush doing exactly the same on the tip, on the side, with this deeper matte, and then running it softly underneath, halfway, and then bringing it into the outer V and up here just to the first third to give me a little bit of depth here with this shade. Again, blending very, very easily, very soft, not too dry and powdery, which is what a lot of people have been asking me about. So much nicer than the summer one. Really like those two together. So obviously this one is definitely a lot warmer than this cool tone one. Not too warm, but it is warmer for sure. So this one has 3 mattes. I'd say that this one must be the pearlescent one because it's that super shiny topper with almost glittery sparkles. And then this one looks like a satin. So this third matte I'm going to use as a sort of fixing shade to just go around the edges to soften. This would also work well as a transition if you didn't want to take this one all over the lid or the way I did. Doing a great job of softening this one actually. So now I'm going to take this one and get this straight onto the eye here. The one I'm excited for though is this, because this one looks so pretty. So this one is showing up a bit, but bear in mind I'm putting this on top of the pink, so it would show up on its own as a one and done. I think you could get a one and done look out of this one quite easily. This one maybe has, I'd say that's the only real one and done, unless you want to go for a matte one and done. The look I had before I added this, you could argue is a one and done. Well, 2 mattes, a 2 and done. That is still very pretty, isn't it? So that works as a topper really as well. A very soft topper with no fallout. But now for the one I've been most excited about. I think out of all 4, this is the one that really stood out to me. I'll show you it again here. It's just got this, it really catches in the light. It's beautiful, isn't it? Now let's get it on the eye and see if it's as impressive as I hoped. And it is. Look at that. Wow. Oh, that is pretty. I love that. And I'm going to take the same one into the inner corner. This is going to be a bit sparkly for the inner corner, but hopefully it'll be okay. It's still okay actually. It's not the sort of sparkle that is particularly bad for mature skin. I think it's fine. I'm not getting, no, I'm saying I'm not getting fallout. I am getting fallout. That's the first one that's given me fallout because it's the most sort of crumbly, slightly sparkly glitter out of all of them. So maybe this one is one to apply before your makeup, not after, because I have got that there. I'm going to go back in with this satin to just join them together a bit more in the middle there, so it's a bit more fused. I could try to line with the 23 brush from Rephr with this. I don't know if it's deep enough, but let's try. It is actually. I'm not sure how I feel about that colour. Whether it's the sort of colour under the eye that makes me personally look a bit unwell. I'll see when the mascara's on what I think, but I think it might work. So there we go. That is the final look using everything in this palette of Quint. Very pretty. I'm still not as wowed by these two as I was by the first two, I have to say that, but I'm definitely much happier with them than I was with the summer ones. I think the formulas are much nicer, they're much more buttery soft. I think the topper sort of pearlescent ones really come in with a sort of wow factor. Maybe not so much on this one, but I still thought they blended together beautifully, and I think there's different things you can do with this one. That's my favourite out of the two, even though I love this sort of topper shimmer, which was, whether it's shimmer, pearlescent, satin, whatever you want to call it, I think it's the pearlescent finish. But anyway, I thought that that was the standout. But overall, I prefer this one. I think it suits me better and I really like the finish. But I do really like this as well. Which one do you prefer? Anyway, let's finish up now with the mascara. So this is the new mascara that launched with these Quints, the 24-hour Extreme Volume Mascara Lash by Lash Fan Effect. This is 090 Over Black, the only shade available at the moment. You get 8.5 grams of product, and this one was £35. So this promises to increase the volume of your lashes by 440%. So you've already seen this on my lashes yesterday, and I did think, looking back at the video, I think my lashes looked better than they have in a long time. I just didn't love the way it finished on me. Well, I'll show you as I apply it. I think that's the best way to do it. I like the way it looked, but I didn't like the way it felt. My favourite type of mascara, I'm using my Rapha Curlers, is something that separates and gives me length. I'm never one that's really looking for volume. It's just something I don't personally seek, even though I quite like it when I get it, as long as it's not clumpy. And I do find this one quite clumpy. I also did, by the end of the day, get a tiny bit of smudging, tiny bit, so minimal, it's almost not there. I'll pop a picture up on the screen now. It's not the best picture. I took this upstairs in the bedroom just before I got in the bath last night, so just as I remembered, but you'll see there's just a tiny little dot. It's very minimal, but I don't get that when I wear my Lisa Eldridge mascara. That one has set the bar too high. So here is the wand on this one. So it's got that sort of dip in the middle. Not my favourite type of brush, in all honesty, but it seems to actually do the job. But it's not as waterproof as Lisa Eldridge if it was coming down onto my face when I wasn't out in the rain. I wasn't doing anything like that. So if I was just in the house yesterday, so for it to smudge a little bit like that tells me that if I was out in the rain, or if I was crying, or in very humid conditions, this could smudge more. Because the Lisa Eldridge one, I don't get one dot even when I go out in direct rain, which I tested when I was on holiday. So I'm not as big a fan of this wand because I feel like I can't get to the root quite as well as I can with a slightly thinner brush. But you can see it is instantly giving me a lot more volume. It's not as separating, it's very thick. Like yesterday I just put 2 layers on, and when I was washing this off last night, firstly it took a long time to wash it off and you could really feel the pieces coming off. So I personally would never go for more than 1 layer of this because I don't like it when it feels chunky, and it also felt quite heavy. I will put 2 on again today to show you, but I personally would just stick with the 1. I'm getting a lot of volume here off this 1 coat. I have to say though, it's going on better today, and with mascara it's always better to review after about 3 days of use. So this is day 2, so it's still not the best day. I think you need to see my end of month review to get a final opinion on this. But I do think that it's already performing better on me than yesterday. A bit less clumpy actually. Definitely give me a lot of volume. Can you see the difference? I'll put some underneath. Again, this isn't the right sort of wand for getting to the lower lash. I feel like I'm going to stab myself in the eye, but I can do it. I can't get quite as close to the root as I'd like. Very volumizing when I do. Look at that. So I'll just do the other one. It's already quite thick and mucky around the top, which shows you how thick this mascara is. It really is a very, very thick one. Careful when you take the wand out not to have that massive clump of mascara on there. So there it is on both eyes. I've actually gone off camera for 5 minutes to let this first coat dry down, so you can see how this looks. Definitely giving me quite a lot of volume, isn't it? But I'm going to go in for that second layer now, which, as I said, might add a bit more, but it's just too clumpy and too much for me, and my eyes become quite heavy. They did stay lifted, but then I waited for them to dry and I used my curler to really seal that lift in, because I've got such straight lashes, they don't like to curl up naturally. And the problem with this is going in with that second layer, the chances of them clumping together further are quite high. So this is not a mascara that I like from that respect, but I do like the results. So I'm a bit torn on this one. It's not one I'd ever use if I was going out all day, unless I thought the weather was going to be exceptionally dry. So dry and not too hot. Be a nice evening out makeup, because it is very glamorous and it is giving me that volume that I don't really have. And I certainly have a lot more volume from using my serum, because I definitely grow more lashes. That's the main result, I think, from my serum, is growing more. But it's starting to really clump together now with that second layer. So I'm going to stop there before it gets really clumpy. So for me, this is a one layer, which is fine actually. I like the one layer. I don't feel I need that second. You might, but if you do, it is going to get more clumpy. And if you went for a third, I can only imagine. I won't be trying that. So I'm going to let that dry down, and I will curl it at the end so you can see. But that is basically the end of everything I've got to show you. What do you think of the two looks that I've just done now compared to the first two I did? I definitely prefer the first two, but I'm still very, very happy with the formulas of these. I think they're a huge step up from anything we've seen from Dior this year. I think that the mattes are buttery and much more creamy and soft to blend. Not that they're ever difficult with Dior, but I do find these much softer. And I think that the satin, the shimmery satins and the pearlescent finishes are beautiful, but particularly in the first two I tried. So the first two being, because obviously I can't remember the name, the Coral Couture and the Brown Cashmere. I think Brown Cashmere takes my #1 spot. Coral Couture would take my #2 spot. And I think I'm a little bit torn on these two. I like them both. I'm looking in the mirror. I think trying them on, I think my favourite was the Silk Taupe, because it's more of a cool tone. But I really like the topper on this one. I think it's quite unique. Rose organza, that one is. So which one do you prefer? I really like them. I can see me using all four in rotation quite a lot more than I normally do with Dior releases, because I tend to review Dior, really enjoy them, but then I forget about them and I don't always reach for them. Like the Chanel Camellia quad that launched this year, I reached for that so many times, I just couldn't stop using it. But the Dior releases I've reviewed this year, I haven't reached for as much. These, I can see me immediately thinking I'm going to keep them. They're not necessarily all summer options, like the Cashmere Brown would be more of an autumn winter for me, but I think I can see me reaching for that a lot over the YSL, over lots of quads with those colours actually. I really rate them. So this is my favourite Dior release of the year, and I think this just might be my most successful eyeshadow review from Dior probably so far on my channel. That's how far I would put these. I think they are really good. They don't replace high quality ones like Tom Ford, but I've enjoyed them in a very similar way to the way I enjoy Tom Ford, and that says an absolute lot about how good they are. So I really do think that these are very good, and if you like one of these colour stories and you think you'll get use out of them, you've got the one and done options, you've got the multiple looks, you've got these topper shades which are really pretty. All of them, apart from one, the coral, wasn't it, gave me a liner shade, and they've all given me inner corner and under the brow. They're very, very nice, very, very good. And I do like this packaging as well. I don't know if I've mentioned that at any point. It's very hard, it's not soft in any way. I think is it to look a bit like the handbag? Is that the idea? I can't remember now, but I really do like it. Actually, I've got all the information sitting here in front of me, so I should tell you something about it. The legendary Lady Dior bag. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. So anyway, I think my mascara should be dry. Let me check. Yeah, it's dry. So I'm going to give it a final curl. So you can see I don't think I've put a mascara on that has looked this... impactful on my very small eyelashes before, so I do think it's very, very impactful. I just think, I mean, I don't know if you can see on camera how clumpy it looks compared to what I like. I do like a really fine mascara that doesn't show any clump. I know clump tends to mean volume, and that's the idea of this, so it's not really a criticism, it's just my personal preference. But I do quite like the look of it if I'm not looking really close up. If I look in a close mirror and see those clumps, it really bothers me. But anyway, what do you think? It's definitely working, isn't it? I'm not sure about the times 440%, but it's definitely volumizing and it's definitely making a difference. I just can't fully trust it with the waterproof promise, but I can with those liners. I thought the green liner, the dark green liner in particular, was really good. The light mint, if I put it on top of the green, it worked, but it didn't work in the waterline. So the light shades of the liners, a bit disappointing. The pink I can't get to show up at all. But the mint, I wouldn't say the mint's disappointing, but it needs to go on top of something. So that's something I'll play around with. But the deep green one, the emerald, I think it was called, wasn't it? I really like that, the pearly emerald. So my recommendation with these would not be to go for the really lighter ones. I don't think you'll get as much use out of them, but they certainly live up to the waterproof longevity. So very, very good from that point of view. But overall, I'm really, really thrilled with this launch. I wasn't even thinking of getting all four. I think I told you, didn't I? I was going to see which ones you wanted. I did think that 2 of the 4 would stand out in the vote, and I was going to skip the 2 that didn't. But it ended up with at least 3 being similarly popular. So I ended up getting all 4. And the one I think that came bottom in that poll was the coral. So I'm very glad I got all 4, because that actually came second in my personal ranking. And it's now become quite easily one of the nicest quads I've got, or quints quads. They're all very similar sizes. That's coral based. I really love it. So I can see me reaching for that one quite a lot. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything I've tried today. Have you ordered any of these 4 quints? Have you tried or ordered the mascara or the eyeliners? I would love to hear your thoughts if you have, or on what you might get or might not get. Do you hate everything I've just shown you, or are you impressed by it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anything in the comment section below. I always try to reply to you. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, I would love it ever so much if you did. And if you already are, you are at the end of another review, and you know how much I appreciate you. I hope you do anyway. Anyway, I'll see you again, hopefully, for my next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.